Morning world, and welcome to a fantastic Thursday 31st of October. Maybe we'll try a bit of heat first, once more. Right, let's see if that chap helps. 2 chances. That didn't work. Bum. Right, well, we'll have to come back to that. I'm assuming it's just a dirty terminal. Oh. Can I get the deuce out through there? Possibly. Basically, what I've got to do is I've got to scratch that out of there, which I can still do with the tractor stuck there, and I got to scratch that out of there, which I can do if I push that trailer backwards. This morning's not starting very well. I just gotta hope this thing gets started now. We've had another go at starting the tractor, and it looks like it could be that connection in there. That, I reckon the cable's gone through. So we're going to take this connector off and strip it back of insulation and do that again. I didn't think that was going to work, so I didn't bother recording it, but it did. I created a farmer bodge. It did the job. Fixed with a tech screw. There's the bodge. These 2 chaps up here are both knackered to wrist. Put a bit of fresh cable in there, and because they won't grip, I just drove a tech screw up through it. Worked. Anyway, just so I was getting that started, Tim and Scott have turned up, so I need to get back down there dig out where the panels are going so they can set their levels up and bolt some feet on. Is it? All right. All right.
We're not getting the drill at the ground.
Ah, yeah, that's a good point, yeah. So there are times when you think, oh, I could really do with a bigger machine. Then there's other times when you think, he's just the right size. But at least the sun's shining. The cattle are all very happy outside. They're not bellowing to come in, so this shouldn't be too bad. Although I do have to move all of those. All the hurdles that are on the inside have now got to go on the outside. And I reckon the easiest way to do that is gonna be that. Right, I just stacked them up out of the way for now. Do I need to move that? It's actually gone down quite hard. Harder than I thought it had. We'll probably have to have some more out, but we'll start here. Right, just had a cup of tea with the guys, well, a cup of coffee actually, a few biscuits, talked about, you know, man stuff and not the sort of thing we share. Got a few delicate ears around. Yeah, I'm going to come back and finish pulling that out. I'll leave the machine in there because for sure I'll have to take some more out somewhere. That looks a bit high in there. Yeah, onwards and upwards. Or did it look high? Was it over there? Love that bit of poo off there. No point in mixing that in with it, is there? So if you remember, I went to JDP yesterday, bought a roll of Teram, and one of the jobs for that is going to be that gateway there and that gateway there. You'll see. A bit more work with that chap there. Right, just had another load of stone turn up for the yard. I wasn't expecting it until tomorrow, but that's okay. I'll move the tractor so we can turn around and we'll get this tipped off. Right, you will notice there is an apparent absence of Tim, Scott and any concrete panels fitted. There's a reason for that. The reason being is my skid steer won't lift the panels. I think this tractor will struggle to lift the panels. Tim had arranged to borrow a telehandler, which other thing is when he went to fetch it, they were using it, so he couldn't do it. So it looks like we might be putting the panels in on Saturday, but I will show you the prep work we've done ready for them. Got it. All right, nosy. Yeah, I'll get another bale in a minute. There's lovely. Thank you. A slightly different colour to the last lot, but it looks, well, other than the colour, looks exactly the same. So yeah, got a job for that and what's left of that, and probably at least one more load as well. So yeah, it's one of those things where I can't sort my levels out without it. Anyway, progress on the barn. So we have got the feet in to sit our concrete panel on, so you can see where it's going to go. It's going to sit in here, pushed against that side of the beam, and the same up there. And then, well, I think what Tim's done this afternoon, he's going to go and buy some, I think it's 75, 73, some 70 something millimeter tube that we're going to put, again, they'll be bolted on, not welded on, so if they need to be moved up or down, we can move them. So above the panel, which is going to come to about yay high-ish, 500 mil-ish, about that high. Bearing in mind the outside level, once I've made it up, is going to be about this high, and the inside level about there. So part of the panel will be in the concrete. So I think what we'll probably do is, maybe when we sit the panels, we'll sit them on some polythene. So when I concrete up to them, they won't actually be sticking to the concrete. I haven't made my mind up on that yet. But yeah, and the next panel, as you can see, will be stepped down, and that's to make up for the difference in ground levels. So that actually looks high. I know it's not, because I know they use a laser to do it. Freaking lasers. So but yeah, but once the ground level outside there has been built up, which it will be, this should all make sense. Again, down here, this panel is not slotting inside and in because of the way this works with the steel work. So they've had to sort of jiggle this around a bit. So this panel's going to sit on the inside, bolt against there and against there, and again there'll be a feed rail going across top of that. This level can be built up a little bit should I need to, and we can feed out here as well. The other end's pretty much the same. We're going that way, so I'll show you, because we're gonna give them a bit of fresh bedding. Not that they're going in there, because everything's taken apart, so they're not going in there. Weatherman says good weather for a week, they can stay outside, but we'll put some fresh bedding in anyway. And yeah, let's go down here and I'll show you what we've done. When I say we, I mean Tim and Scott. I just watched and made tea. So, same thing, panel there, panel there. All three of these panels will sit inside the beams. Yeah, and then hopefully when we're concreting, it again will all make sense. So the outside level that currently is low, that will be built up once these panels are in. Once they're in, that outside level will come up, slope down there, because I want to try to not have to move those gates. So yeah, when we come to concreting, I think we're all right up to this point here, but down there we may have to dig out that a little bit, stone it, and then down again. We will see. Might also be a case of we don't get that bit concreted this year. I might have to just think about it. Right, well, the spike's already on, so we may as well do the bales first. Let's give them some grub. They're already coming up, so I better shut the gate quick. Right, let's go let the half-starved little darlings back in, shall we? So I had a phone call from Paul yesterday. Paul is a chap who contacted, one of the chaps actually, has got two people, contacted me a while ago asking if they could possibly buy some of our cattle. And we said, yeah. And he mentioned Rosie. And I mentioned to you guys that somebody had, expressed an interest in maybe taking Rosie home with them. And there was a little bit of pushback on that case of, no, you can't let Rosie go, she's lovely and blah, blah, blah. She is probably the prettiest animal here, quite likely, but I don't breed them for, or rear them for pretty. I love having them, don't get me wrong, but that's beef. This is a farm, and that's what I do. I do beef. So, Rosie's a really nice cow. She got a nice calf with her too. And Paul has reminded me how keen he is to maybe take Rosie, to the point that apparently Paul has just acquired himself a new farm. Quite a big farm, from what I understand of it. And he's flying in next Wednesday. You read it right. He's flying in next Wednesday to have a look at some of our cattle. So I'll tell you for a start, Mare is not on the list. Mare is not going anywhere. And there's one or two others are not going anywhere. And, if truth be known, I'm not overly keen on selling any animals. I kind of like them being here, but if they're going to a good home, to someone who's going to look after them, and from what I understand of it, Paul is considering starting his own YouTube channel, and that if Rosie does leave here, you'll be able to follow her progress on a much bigger farm than here. If you want to follow her progress, then, you know, it won't be the end of the story of Rosie and her calf for all of you, because we'll all be able to see where she went and how she's doing. So, yeah, watch this space. No decisions have been made, nothing's set in concrete, but yeah, apparently next Wednesday, weather permitting, Dirty Grey helicopter's going to land over there, and you're going to meet Paul, weather permitting. Or in case he's camera shy, then maybe he won't, but you know, you never know, you never know. So while I was talking to Tim earlier, we mentioned this door, because obviously for concreting, this door's too low, and I think the general consensus is they're just going to cut this off and just move it up. All I got to do is take this off and move it up and cut these off along here, because if I don't, I'm going to crown myself on there, aren't I? So, yeah. Right, should we do that bit of wood chip now? What's the time? Yeah, we've got time. Let's do that bit of wood chip now. Nice bit of ash chip. Yeah, we'll have some of that. So while I'm here, I'm just going to fill in a little bit from yesterday. So yesterday was budget day, where the Chancellor announced to us that she was going to remove the relief on agricultural land, as in tax relief, for farmers to pass on to our sons or daughters to inherit the land once we're gone, to 1 million. And after that 1 million, there'd be like a 50% reduction on the next bit, as in no, 40% tax inheritance, but that was on a 50% reduction. Lots of numbers. Basically, we sat down and crunched the numbers last night. So with the farm we have here, as the value we have today, and the land over at Itchington, if I die and pass that on to my daughters, they've each got to find £50,000 in tax. They're not going to have that. There's not £200,000 in the farm account to pay that tax. There's not enough revenue, income, anything in the farm to cover that. So the only thing they can do is sell stuff. So for my daughters, if they decided to not farm it on themselves, they could, I suppose, sell the tractor and the equipment and blah, 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 and have a farm sale, and they'd recoup some of it that way. But not all. They would be forced to sell some of our land. Now that's where I take an issue with it. The problem is they'll be forced to sell some land, and then unless the farm creates enough income, generates enough income to either repurchase that land or replace it with something else, and then the next generation has to sell some land, because all the time land's going up in value. They don't make any more land. So every then generation whittles a bit more off the farm, and it will come to the point where the farm's not worth anything. And it will be those that don't have any business other than the farm, as in, I know how to run a farm, I know how to look after cattle, I know how to milk, I know how to produce beef, I know all this stuff, but unless they go to business school or something else and learn about business and have a second or third, fourth income coming in, all the family farms are within a couple of generations, they're basically going to be gone, because once a farm drops below a certain acreage, it's no longer viable. The only reason we've managed to keep we started with 28, then it sort of went to 30, 40, eventually 70 acres. But even on 70 acres, that's not enough income generated from that to pay all our bills. It would not. It's just no way it could do it. Mrs. P goes out to work. She's got a full-time job, and I think you'll find most farmers' wives, or husband, whichever way around, has to have a full-time job as well. And this perception that farmers are rolling in wealth, it's all on paper. There's not foldy paper you put in your wallet. You can't spend it. All you can do is use that to make a living. And that's what people don't get. It's the land is our tool for making a living. It's what we know. And bearing in mind, you may have gone out and done your apprenticeship. Your apprenticeship might be 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, even 7 years you've been training. A lot of these farmers that are taking on from dad or granddad, their apprenticeship's been 50 years. Okay? They spent the last 50 years preparing to take on the land. They know it. They understand it. They know where the wet bits are, the dry bits are. They know where the land drains are. They know where the pipes are. They just know it. And they are by far the best people, most qualified people, to take on that land. But the government's going to start whittling that down. Land will have to be sold to pay for the tax. It will go to people who don't know it. They maybe they've been to college, or maybe they're another farmer's son to start. I mean, there's a few lights here where maybe some young farmers who want to set out on their own will have an opportunity to set up on their own. But I can see lots of these little parcels of land, 10 acres here and 20 acres there, and that they're going to be snapped up by folks who have no idea how to look after that land, how to generate food from that land, even how the land works, how the soil works. They just won't understand. And I can see little patches of this country disappearing into little tiny, well, everybody wants a bit of Clarkson's farm, don't they? Ooh, yeah, Granny left me 100k in her will. I could go and buy that piece of land, and we could put a cabin on it, and we could rear some cows and some sheep, and we could do this. And it's a lovely idea. It is a lovely idea, and if you're lucky, you might feed yourselves a bit. You might feed nobody at all. I don't know. It's, in my eyes, long-term bad thing. Okay, a few positives potentially could come out of it, but generally a bad thing. So, and I think the country will rue the day that inheritance tax has been levied on agricultural land for farms and the folks that feed you. So Lots of people disagree with me. Lots of people think, oh, farmers are wealthy and they've been getting away without paying tax for years and years. And there are big corporations who have bought tax to avoid, bought land to avoid tax. That's the folks you want to be going after. Not the family farms where, you know, I'm the 4th generation pulling on this land and I'll be the 9th or 10th on the land at Itchington. The churchyard in Titterton is full of pull-ins. We've been there hundreds of years. Yeah. It's a sad day. All I can say is I've got, the country's got 4 or 5 years to realise that this is not a good idea. And hopefully the next government will go, that was a really bad idea, and kick it back out again. I'll just feel sorry for the folks that have lost out in that 5 years, if that's the case. Right, I'm just witching on now, so I'm going to go and see the lads because they're back. And I think as well, it's 4:30. That's enough for me for today. I will see you tomorrow.